We want to spend Christmas quietly with the in-laws. My daughter wrote in a text message, discarding me after 30 years of sacrifice. I stared at the screen and typed a simple reply. Enjoy yourselves. They didn't know that I had just finished the renovations on my secret estate in Lake Tahoe. They didn't know I had invited everyone else, my brother, my old business partners, my true friends, to a celebration that was already in full swing. When my daughter saw the photos on social media, she didn't just get angry. She stormed into my home and did something I never expected. But in that moment, standing in the foyer of a house she didn't know I owned, she realized she had made a mistake she could never fix. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you are listening from. My phone buzzed against the cold granite of the kitchen island. I set down my coffee mug, steam curling into morning light, and glanced at the screen. It was Chloe. A smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. Finally, a response about the Christmas dinner plans. Then I read the words. We want to sit quietly for Christmas with Derek's parents. We need space. I read it again, then a third time. The winter sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my new kitchen seemed to mock the sudden darkness that had invaded my chest. My grip on the phone tightened until my knuckles turned white. 30 years. 30 years of being the safety net, the bank, the fixer. The memories flooded back with brutal clarity. Her tuition at Stanford, $65,000 a year, while she changed majors 3 times. Daddy, I really think art history is my calling now. Then it was marketing, then sociology. I paid every bill without complaint. Her wedding to Derek, my contribution alone was $50,000. We wanted to be perfect. Dad, it's a once-in-a-lifetime day. I watched her dance in a dress that cost more than my first car, while Derek's family contributed their blessing and a cheese platter. The house down payment last year, another $100,000. We found the perfect place, Daddy. The neighborhood is amazing for when we have kids. Kids that never came. But the requests for money never stopped. Every phone call started the same way. Dad, I hate to ask, but... Yet she never hated enough to stop asking. Car repairs, credit card debt, vacation funds. I gave. I always gave. I walked to the window overlooking the snow-dusted pines of my property. This estate, purchased just last month for $3.5 million, was supposed to be my reward, my sanctuary, the place where I would finally host Christmas dinner in style, where my family would see what their father had built through decades of silent, smart investments. The cryptocurrency portfolio that made me wealthy while others called it gambling. The tech startup shares I bought in the 90s that paid off when everyone said I was too old to understand the market. But none of that mattered to Chloe. To her, I was just a bank account with a pulse. Sit quietly with the in-laws. Translation: your money is welcome, but you are not. The hurt transformed into something colder, sharper. I had spent enough years being taken for granted. It was time to show them what Christmas looked like when people actually want to be there. I pulled up my contacts and scrolled to James's number. My brother had always seen through Chloe's manipulations, though he had held his tongue for my sake. Not anymore. The phone rang twice before his gravelly voice answered. Arthur, perfect timing. I was just thinking about the holiday schedule. James, I need to ask you something. I kept my voice steady. Are you and Elena free for Christmas dinner? I'm hosting at the new house. Hell yes. Elena has been dying to see the place. But wait, I thought you were going to Chloe's. I glanced at the text message still glowing on my screen. Change of plans. She's sitting quietly with the in-laws. She needs space. The silence stretched for several heartbeats. Then James's voice came back, sharp with anger. That ungrateful little... Arthur, you're right to do this. How long are you going to let her treat you like an ATM? Not anymore. The words felt foreign on my tongue, but right. Will you call the Sterlings? Tell them they're invited too. And Lydia grant if she's in town. Consider it done. James said, you know what? This is going to be the best Christmas dinner you've ever hosted. People who actually appreciate you. After I hung up, I walked through my empty estate with new eyes. The formal dining room that could seat 20. The chef's kitchen with its dual ranges. The great room with its massive stone fireplace and panoramic view of the lake. This wasn't just a house. It was a statement, and it was time to make it. The next call went to Marcus Thorne, my former business partner, who had helped broker the deal that netted me 7 figures. Then Lydia Grant, who had been there when my consulting firm went public. People who had witnessed my successes, not just my checkbook. Marcus, it's Arthur Vance. I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. Arthur, never. What's going on? I explained the situation briefly. Christmas dinner. My place. December 23rd at 6. Marcus's enthusiasm was immediate. Are you kidding? Julia and I have been hoping for an invite to see the fortress. Count us in. Each conversation reinforced what I had forgotten. I had friends. Real ones. People who valued my company, not my wire transfers. I moved to my home office, pulling out a legal pad to organize a menu. Prime rib. I'd order the best cuts. Roasted root vegetables, truffle mashed potatoes, winter salad, and Lydia's famous tiramisu if she agreed to bring it. I'd open the 2015 Cabernet I'd been saving. By 4 o'clock, the catering order was placed. The house was ready. My guest list was solid. 12 people who would appreciate both the food and the company. 12 people who saw me as Arthur, not an open wallet. The afternoon had transformed my empty mansion into something alive with possibility. Tomorrow night, this house would be everything I had envisioned. The doorbell chimed at exactly 6 o'clock the next evening. Through the frosted glass, I could see James's silhouette holding a bottle of wine, with Elena beside him carrying a covered dish. I opened the door to my brother's broad grin and Elena's immediate gasp. Good Lord, Arthur. James stepped inside, looking around the 2-story entryway with its curved staircase and crystal chandelier. The photos don't do it justice. The millwork alone must have cost a fortune, Elena said, her eyes taking in every detail. And those windows. Arthur, it's breathtaking. Before I could respond, car doors slammed in the driveway. Marcus and Julia Thorne emerged from their sedan, followed immediately by the Sterlings. Within minutes, my foyer was filled with warm greetings, code exchanges, and genuine excitement. Arthur, this is incredible, Marcus said, turning in a slow circle. When you said you bought a retirement spot, I pictured a nice cabin. This is a palace. The words hit differently than they would have coming from Chloe. These people weren't calculating the resale value or wondering what they can inherit. They were simply happy for my success. I led the group through the main living area, pointing out the features I had chosen carefully. The imported stone fireplace, the custom library, the sound system. You've really made it, haven't you? Sterling clapped me on the shoulder. All those years of smart investing finally paying off. Lydia Grant arrived fashionably late and immediately began documenting everything with her phone. Arthur, you have to let me post some photos, she said. This place is stunning, and you look so happy. The world needs to see this. I found myself nodding. Why not? I had worked hard for this. I deserved to share it with people who celebrated me. The evening flowed naturally. Cocktails by the fire, dinner in the formal dining room. The prime rib was perfect, the wine exceptional. The conversation moved effortlessly between shared memories and future plans. Remember when you first told us about Ethereum? Marcus raised his glass. We all thought you'd lost your mind. Some of us, Julia corrected with a laugh. I told Marcus we should follow Arthur's lead. Best advice I ever ignored. Marcus admitted. Look where it got him. I felt the warmth of genuine respect. These were friends celebrating a friend. James stood for a toast. To my brother, Arthur, who never lost faith in himself, even when the rest of us couldn't see the vision. And to this beautiful home where we're finally getting the Christmas celebration he deserves. The glasses clinked. The laughter continued. For the first time in years, I felt truly valued. Lydia had been taking photos all night. Candid shots by the fireplace, group photos at the table. These are going straight to Facebook, she announced. Everyone needs to see how beautiful this turned out. I didn't object. The party was hitting its stride when my phone began buzzing insistently against my leg. I glanced at the screen through the fabric of my pocket and felt a familiar tightness in my chest. Chloe. I excused myself and moved toward my home office, the sound of laughter fading as I closed a heavy oak door. I took a breath and answered, "Hello, Chloe. What the hell is this?" Her voice was sharp, vibrating with anger. "No greeting. Lydia Grant just posted photos of some party at your house. With Uncle James and everyone." I leaned against my mahogany desk. "It's Christmas dinner. You said you were okay with us having space." "I am. You asked for space. I gave it to you. I didn't mean you should go throw a party without us. You said you wanted to sit quietly with the in-laws." I reminded her. "I figured since you were busy, I would make my own plans. You went behind my back. You invited everyone except us." "I invited people who wanted to spend Christmas with me. You specifically said you didn't. Where did this house even come from?" The question came out in a rush, revealing the real issue. How can you afford a place like this? Where did this money come from? There it was. Not hurt feelings about missing dinner. Shock about wealth she didn't know existed. Money she couldn't control. "I've been successful, Chloe. More successful than you realized." "Successful how?" "You never told me about any house purchase. You never told me you had this kind of capital." I felt something shift inside me. A cold clarity. "I don't owe you a financial report, Chloe. I'm a grown man who made good investments. This house is a result of 30 years of hard work." "But, Dad..." "No." I cut her off. "I won't be guilt for celebrating with people who appreciate me. I won't apologize for having success you didn't know about. And I won't pretend your text message meant anything other than what it clearly stated." The silence stretched between us, filled with years of unspoken resentment. "You're being spiteful," she said finally. "This is because I can't come to dinner one time. This is because for 30 years I have been nothing more than a bank account to you. Because every conversation starts with what you need from me, never with what you can give back. Because you take my support for granted. That's not true. When was the last time you called just to see how I was doing? When was the last time you showed interest in my life that didn't involve what I could provide for yours?" Silence. "I have friends here tonight who are genuinely happy for me. This is what Christmas looks like when people actually want to be here. You can't just exclude family." "You excluded yourself," I said calmly. "You made your choice. I made mine. This isn't over, Dad." The threat in her voice was unmistakable. "You can't just cut us out because you're having some kind of midlife crisis." The line went dead. I stood in the quiet of my office. Through the closed door, I could hear the genuine laughter of my friends. For the first time in 30 years, I had drawn a line in the sand, and it felt exactly right. I walked back into the warmth of the party. James noticed me first. "Everything okay?" "She called," I said. "She saw the photos. And she denied ever saying she wanted a quiet Christmas. She's angry about the house. About the money." "Of course she is," James sighed. "Arthur, you've enabled this for too long. She's not angry about Christmas. She's angry about losing control." Marcus walked over. "Sorry to interrupt, but you look stressed. Everything all right?" "Family drama." James answered for me. "Arthur's daughter's upset he's hosting dinner instead of waiting by the phone." Marcus nodded grimly. "Ah, the entitled offspring syndrome. Julia and I dealt with her brother last year. 45 years old and still expected us to fund his lifestyle." "What did you do?" I asked. "Cut him off. Best decision we ever made." He threw a tantrum, threatened never to speak to us again. 6 months later, he was back with a job and an apology. "The hardest part," Lydia said, join the circle, "is accepting that love doesn't mean enabling. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no." The conversation grew naturally. Everyone had a story. Everyone understood. I felt the knot in my chest loosen. Around 10 o'clock, I was refilling wine glasses when I heard a commotion outside. Car door slamming. Heavy footsteps on the gravel driveway. Then the pounding started. Not a knock. A violent, aggressive hammering that made the solid oak door shudder. Conversation stopped. Every face turned toward the entrance. "Open this door right now." Chloe's voice shrieked through the wood. "I know you're in there." My stomach dropped. She had actually come here. She had driven 2 hours to create a scene. Bang! 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 "Chloe, lower your voice," I called out, moving toward the door. "Don't tell me what to do," she screamed. "This is ridiculous. You can't hide in there." Derek's voice joined hers, weaker but audible. "Come on, Arthur, just open up. We can work this out." I looked back at my guests. They looked embarrassed on my behalf. "I'm sorry about this," I said. "Don't apologize," James said. "You aren't responsible for her behavior." I reached for the deadbolt. I had to end this before the neighbors called the police. I opened the door. Chloe stormed in like a hurricane, with Derek trailing behind her, looking like a man marching to the gallows. "How dare you?" She pointed a shaking finger at me, her eyes wild as she scanned the room. "How dare you throw some party and exclude your own daughter?" The living room fell silent. 10 pairs of eyes watched my 32-year-old daughter throw a tantrum worthy of a toddler. "Chloe, you are making a scene." "I don't care." She whirled around, taking in the high ceilings, the expensive art, the obvious wealth surrounding her. "Where did all this come from? How long have you been hiding money from me?" Lydia stepped forward, phone in hand. "Excuse me, but this is a private party. You are being incredibly rude." Chloe snapped her head toward Lydia. You're the one posting pictures. This is your fault." "I posted pictures of a beautiful evening," Lydia replied coolly. "Nothing inappropriate about that. It was inappropriate because I wasn't invited." "You declined," I said, "in writing." "That isn't what I meant, and you know it." "Ma'am, you need to calm down," Marcus said, his voice deep and authoritative. "This is unacceptable." "Don't tell me what is acceptable." Chloe spun on him. "This is between me and my father." "Not anymore," James said, stepping up beside me. "You made it everyone's business by barging in here screaming." "Maybe we should just go home," Derek mumbled. "No." Chloe silenced him with a look. "I am not leaving until this gets resolved." She pulled out her phone. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Calling the police," she spat. "If you won't listen to reason, maybe they will make you understand." The room erupted in shocked murmurs. "The police?" Julia asked incredulously. "For what?" "A dinner party." "For stealing family assets." Chloe yelled. "For hiding money." "For elder abuse." The accusation hung in the air like toxic smoke. Elder abuse. I watched my daughter, phone press her ear, preparing to weaponize the law because I dared to have a life without her permission. 20 minutes later, blue and red lights flashed through the front windows. 2 officers emerged from a patrol car, a veteran sergeant and a younger partner. They approached the door. "Good evening," the sergeant said. "We received a complaint about a domestic disturbance and potential financial exploitation. I'm Sergeant Miller." "Yes. Thank you for coming." Chloe rushed forward. "They are having this loud party and harassing me. And she pointed at me, is being manipulated." Sergeant Miller looked around. He saw a group of well-dressed people in their 60s, holding wine glasses. Soft jazz was playing. "Sir, is this your residence?" Miller asked me. "Yes, it is. I am Arthur Vance. This is a quiet dinner party." "Ma'am, step outside, please," Miller said to Chloe. "He is my father." Chloe cried. "He has been hiding assets from the family. This house. He couldn't possibly afford this. Someone is taking advantage of him." "Sir, do you feel you are being abused or threatened?" Miller asked me. "Only by the person who called you," I replied calmly. James stepped forward. "Officers, I'm Arthur's brother. His daughter sent a text this morning saying she didn't want to see him for Christmas, so he invited friends over. Now she is upset because she realized he has money. I have the text right here." I said, "Offer my phone." Miller read the message. "We want to sit quietly, need space." He looked at Chloe. "Ma'am, It seems you declined the invitation. That isn't what I meant. Chloe shrieked. He misunderstood on purpose. The message is clear, the younger officer said. Ma'am, Sergeant Miller said, his voice hardening. Filing a false report is a crime. You are wasting police resources. This man is in his own home with his guests. There is no evidence of abuse or disturbance other than the one you are creating. But you need to leave, Miller said, now, or we will be forced to remove you for trespassing. Chloe stared at him, her mouth open. Her manipulation had backfired spectacularly. This isn't over, she hissed at me. She turned and marched to her car. Derek followed, head down. As the police cars pulled away, silence returned to the villa. Chloe. I called out before she could get in her car. She stopped, looking back with a glimmer of hope. Maybe she thought I was breaking. I need everyone to understand something, she shouted, turning back to my guests who were gathered in the doorway. My father is a liar. He has been hoarding money that should have been used for the family. Chloe, stop, I said. No. Did you know he bought this house without telling me? $3 million. Where do you think that came from? She pointed at Marcus. He probably stole it. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. Chloe, your father showed us his portfolio years ago. Every penny came from legitimate investments he made before you were born. She's right. James added. Arthur bought Bitcoin when it was pennies. He invested in tech startups in the 90s. Chloe's face flushed. The reality hit her. My wealth wasn't mysterious. It was just unknown to her because she never asked about my life. But he never told me, she wailed. Why would he? Lydia asked, her voice cutting. When was the last time you called him without asking for money? The brutal truth hung in the air. That's not true. Chloe cried. I care about him. When? James challenged. Name one time you invited him to dinner. One time you celebrated him without a handout. Chloe looked around. She saw only stone faces. You don't understand, she whispered. We understand perfectly, I said, walking down the steps to stand on the driveway. And that is the problem. I took a breath. The cold air filled my lungs. I want you to leave my property and never return. Chloe stared at me. You can't be serious. I have never been more serious. You called the police on me. You accused me of being incompetent. You tried to humiliate me in front of my friends. I'm your daughter. You are a woman who has used me for 30 years. Being my daughter does not entitle you to abuse me. Dad, leave. Now. You will regret this, she screamed, getting into her car. You will all regret this. We already know the kind of man Arthur is, Lydia called out. That's why we are here. Chloe slammed the car door. Derek started the engine, and they sped away, gravel spraying behind them. I watched the taillights disappear. I turned back to the house. My friends were waiting. James walked down and embraced me. I've been waiting 30 years for you to do that. I am so proud of you. Tears pricked my eyes, not of sadness, but of relief. I feel free, I whispered. You are free, James said. We walked back inside. The party resumed, but the energy was different. It was lighter. We toasted to new beginnings. We toasted to dignity. I stood by the window, looking out at the snow. I thought about the future. I could travel. I could invest in causes I cared about. I could fill this house with people who loved me. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Please, let's talk. I looked at the message. Then I looked at my friends laughing by the fire. I blocked the number. Christmas had finally come home. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click the video on your screen. Thank you for watching.